Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another interview. As you can see, I am joined by FrosT, who, of course, has just joined GE. FrosT, how you doing today? It's been a bit of a busy day, I've seen.
Yeah, crazy day. Crazy week, actually. I had a player get a root sorry, not a root yeah, I had a player get a root canal, then I had another one that got, um, a wisdom tooth pulled, riot content all week. Tough.
Tough one. Well, I kind of, before we get into the new team and everything about it, I want to go back just a little bit because I know pieces of your esports career, but I kind of wanted to ask just like, where did you start in the world of esports? What was your first like opening to it?
Technically wow, that's a tough one. So, it's a mixture between the FGC or my personal one. So, why I said my personal one is I was friends with, uh, someone that was already a professional fighting game player. That's
Okay.
how I kind of even realized this was even an avenue. But personally, it was Heroes of Newerth, Han. That was my first foray as a player. And then
Okay.
Dota 2, right? So I was a Dota 2 player. And I
Mm.
started my own team, which was Flipside Tactics, because our
Yep.
org owed us money. So the players decided to make our own org. Shout out to Mania, Miguel, you know. And that's kind of what happened. And then from there, get into CS, meet Blade and Markelov. And then I wanted to win, so I had to learn to help because I couldn't afford a coach. So I became Blade's analyst. So him and Markelov like kind of taught me CS. Then I built Stats Helix, which was a software program. Uh, well, technically, basically, we rebuilt the API that currently exists called GoTV. We fixed it. We modernized it to what it became. Actually,
Mm.
my company, and then that's like some lore people don't know.
I didn't know
Um,
that.
then I went to Rocket League. Same thing. Fighting games, same thing. Crossfire. Then and then it's just
Mm.
that's all kind of
Because the
what
one I
happened.
was gonna, that was my next question was gonna involve about Flipside because when I was like watching CS and casting CS, that was one of my like favorite teams. I have if I'll show you
Respect.
at some point, my AK in CS has 4 Flipside electronic gold stickers on it, which nowadays is worth a lot of money. Wasn't at the time.
Yeah,
but
Dennis is the man, bro. Yeah,
but
that's
yeah, it's
awesome.
like
Thanks for that.
I know that like when you look into that team, so, like I think it's on the Rocket League page. It says you're CEO. You've said you were analyst. Like,
Yeah.
what was your part in that team? Well, I don't know, at the beginning or overall.
Well, like the organization or Rocket League specific?
The organization.
Because
I know nothing about
oh,
Rocket League.
our team. So I started as like so. It's just like imagine if like me and let's just say this is not going to happen. Let's just say uh instead of GE, the boys and I decided to make our own team. That's basically what happened.
Okay.
And we started to finance it ourselves, right? But instead of financing it with money, we just this is our team, we'll do it. And then
Mm.
we hired someone named MJ Finchy to kind of like run the stuff in the background. And then that's basically what happened. But then eventually I replaced myself because well, technically the players replaced me, but like we all had a conversation because I was spending a lot more time trying to find money than
Mm.
I was practicing. So like
Yeah.
sometimes you had to miss scrims, sometimes or like
Mm.
yo, I got to go do this thing. I have a meeting, so we can't like we can't scrim on this day or all that stuff. And eventually, I just then became like what people would know as like the CEO owner of the team. But I was still close to the players, and then I was the one that ended up getting a partner. Her name is Dana Kowar, which you obviously I don't expect you to know, but she was at the time like the person that everyone in Dota used, or they used her in-game items. She had like every courier, every skin, like all the
Oh.
Arcana shit. So all the pros, so everyone in Dota back then knows about Dana, or her name was Woves. Everyone knows about Woves. So I convinced her to help me kind of run an esports org. I even tried to get Anuxie, who was like the first Steam millionaire. She was like, she made all the like cosmetics.
Mm.
Like, I don't know if you know this actually, but early in Dota, a lot of 3D artists made skins that Riot technically didn't buy, but what they did was they partnered with them and they rev shared. So if you bought a skin that Riot didn't produce, but it was from someone else, Riot would give them 30%, take the rest, and that was it. And some
Okay.
of these people made millions of dollars because some of the most popular skins weren't even made by Riot or sorry, Valve. Sorry,
Yeah.
Valve. Right. So like I was going to like people like that to help me because I didn't have a network to like, bro, I didn't have access to VC money. And
Yeah.
when all the esports stuff happened, I didn't come from money. So I didn't hang out with rich people. So I didn't have people like I didn't know someone in my family that had the money to be an angel investor or like any of this shit. So I kind of used esports people to be like, yo, like, do you want to help? And then Wolves helped me get into CS, and then that's how we got, Blade Markov. Some lore about that too. I'm the idiot that passed on Hiko, Sean Garrison and them first,
Mm.
right? Because I had access to Hiko because because I've known Hiko for that long. So I passed on that roster with like Shroud and all of them. Tough. And Fallen out of key
Okay.
stars, bro.
I
Oh.
was about to
No,
say
but in
the
seriousness
first
though,
one's bad, but Fallen is
yeah.
Fallen's one of the
Oh,
goats. So I think that just
bro, me and Gabriel was so cool, but bro, that still pisses me off. But
you did
in
end up with
fairness,
Simple
though,
though. So
right, I did the best I could because what I did was I chose Markeloff and Blade basically for two reasons. One was simple. Markeloff was, and that's a pun intended, by the way, the GOAT of 1.6. So everybody was like, "We have an opportunity in CS to get this guy. You have to."
yeah.
Right. So it was something that I kept hearing. And then the other was I didn't know this at the time, but Blade, Markelov had a lot of respect for Blade. And he's like,
Mm.
this guy is gonna be a coach one day and he's gonna be the best. So
Good shout.
it was like fuck, like Fallen Brazil. I'm American, yeah, but these guys are Eastern European. But like one of them is a legend, and the other one is saying this guy's a good IGL, and he's going to be like a great coach, so I can have him for like maybe 5 to 10 years if I know what I'm doing. And it was just like, fuck, what do I do? And then Hiko, Wolves wanted Hiko, and like that roster, and like we were talking to them about it, and then eventually we just went with, you know, that team, which is where Blade was from. And even though financially it would have probably been better for North American to be with North Americans or Latin American, or sorry, South Americans, I took the plunge and went with Eastern Europeans, and it worked out because I learned a lot. Like part of the reason why I'm even in Valorant is because everything I learned from Blade and Marketing, I still use,
Yeah.
or it's kind of part of my makeup and DNA. So, but yeah, that's some lore for you, though. Tough.
But I was gonna, because I think like we could stay on that topic all day because I do love talking Counter Strike, but I feel like the people watching will be here for Valorant. What was it that got you into Valorant in the first place? Because obviously you had the team, you did CS, you did a load of different games, but Valorant was still like it's still a jump into a completely new sphere.
Yeah. Um, it was really that I, as an org owner, I had to stay ahead of the curve. That was the
Mm.
first. But really, I had lost Flipside at that point where we decided to stop because we couldn't compete with the salaries that we were. But I was actually just playing Valorant with like Hiko all the time and like other mutuals, and I just also really enjoyed it. So
Mm.
it became like a thing where like, bro, in the beta, I probably played like I want to say. So actually, I was in the Hiko actually got me in the at the end of the alpha. So he got me a key in the alpha, so I got to
Mm.
play with him. And then in the beta, I'm the one that got like Jovi the key, for instance, right? So
Okay.
I'm like playing with all my guys basically, because people don't realize this, but Jovi played professional Rainbow Six, so
Okay.
that's like how far we go back. So I've known him from Flipside Rainbow Six, so we're all just grinding this game at the same time. And then Hiko has an opportunity because he won like 3 tournaments in a row with Brax to like, join FaZe Clan, T1, or 100 Thieves. And then he just, him and I have a conversation about like, me coaching it because this is probably another thing that people don't know. But Hiko played for Flipside for a summer because World Edit Gosha couldn't get a visa to go to the US. So Hiko was his replacement for a summer tournament. Like, so my relationship with Hiko goes back not just from like, CS as competitors, but also he knows what it was like to be inside. And he has a Facebook post where he blogs about like that whole experience. And he even talks about like, wow, I was surprised this fucking North American dude is actually like coaching these guys. Right. Yeah. Like he was talking about B. And when he had the opportunity to like build a team, I was the coach that he was like, you know what? I think if I'm going to take this gamble and come back to play, we should probably, do this together. Are you down? I was like, of course. And then that's sort of like how the 100 Thieves thing started.
Yeah, well, I kind of like. I think the next bit of the story is like at least decently well documented. You go to 100 Thieves, win first strike, and then like have a decent performance at Masters, even being one of the sort of better teams along the way. What was after the 100 Thieves saga? Because it was like you play. I think you were coach of
nothing.
A team called
I wasn't considered
Airborne.
good enough for anybody. I was literally coaching people for free. I was helping players on the low, like a bunch of players. Koala Noob. Obviously Governor, Ban, Vinny. Who else? I'm trying to go by a litany of players that you might have heard of that I have had. Like I was in the offseason helping Precision, FrosT, ZK, Boy. That's how my relationship with Boy was cultivated. Like I was a guy that like all of them would come and talk to and like either play with, and then on the side bot review with them. Like they'll like show me their like what's going on in scrims and what problems they were having, and I was like the one helping them. And then I would build teams, tier 2 like NA teams, just to go to like some of these lands, like the Philly land. There was another one with Nerd Street, just to stay current.
Yeah. And
then, but yeah, I lost almost 2 years of people just were like, I don't know, this guy is trash, or they just didn't know about, whatever. So I was just basically playing Valorant every day, helping other players, watching every tournament. And I mean, dude, you want to know something funny about that? I was even helping Redgar and Nats during their MC3 days. Like, when they lost, afterwards. I'm like VOD reviewing with them because I'm like, yo, Redgar, what was this play? Like, why did this sequence happen? Like, why would you fake like this and not use this util? And like, like I'm VOD reviewing that team with those players while North American teams are like, yeah, this guy's trash. Like, I
was going to lead it on tough. Then to like, so you're obviously, everyone knows your big comeback was with Talon. How did that move come about then? Because it wasn't North America that gave you the chance.
Yeah, but that's what's funny, because I was at Secret before that, and then Furia.
Yeah.
And the fucked up part is, I think I don't know how this happened, but people like don't even realize that I somehow coach Furia, even though I'm literally the guy in the coaching booth every single game. If you just look at the NAVCT box number 4 and 2.
On VLR, they have you listed as manager.
Right, but why do we expect VLR to know what's going on?
That's true.
Like, but like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, so yeah, I get hired as GM, but then I get yelled at, right? Because they're not performing in scrim. So then I'm like, bro, I'm GM, and then they were like, well, we need you to like fix this. So then I go and I observe the practice for a couple of days, and I say, okay, fuck it, I'm changing everything. So Carlisle and me. So Carlisle became my assistant coach, which you could just verify through asking him. And I basically coached those guys for the entirety of my time there until I got fired when we were 4 and 2, because me and management just never saw eye to eye. And, yeah. But yeah, like I was literally in NA at the arena in the coaching booth, coaching the boys. And they had a very good run. And by the way, I'm the guy that was coaching them in a game plan for Fnatic when we almost beat them in kickoff. Right. So it's like, it's just so funny that you say that, that I had the resurgence when it's like, man, I was at Secret and fucking Secret were one game away from champs. Then fucking, I ended up going to Furia and, we were 4-2 in the league when I got fired. We were tied for second place with Cloud9. Unlucky, bro.
So I kind of then
But yeah,
wanted
Talon,
to
sorry.
asking about Talon, because I feel like there's a lot of orgs from an outside perspective where you're given like some stuff about. I feel like Talon isn't really one of them. So I kind of wanted to ask, like, what was it like joining and working with that team, and how was the org as a whole?
So joining pretty much was my last option. I wasn't even their first choice. It just ended up happening that things worked out the way that they did. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of sad because Talon had a lot of good people and talented people. Like if you think of a lot of these orgs that are even still around, which I won't name, a lot of people on the inside know sort of like, oh, that org is, very questionable people. Management isn't very professional. Like there's a lot of like questions, right? Like I just named one actually. Everybody knows my distaste for Furia. Like that is a clown show, actually, right? Compared that to Talon, Talon is like a Fortune 500 company in comparison, right? And it's just unfortunate because I ran through the same thing with Flipside. The difference was it wasn't as, I think, the story wasn't as prominent, but I eventually ran out of money too. The difference was I didn't owe like money to like a lot of divisions and shit didn't get that crazy. But I basically was like, man, I can't afford this anymore. So I just had to like say, fuck it, you guys are free. And then all my guys went to Navi and you see what they become,
Yeah.
But you know, I feel for them because it was a well run company with very smart people. That doesn't mean it was perfect because there were definitely things that I changed while I was there and obviously wanted to change even more from the outside. But in terms of organizations, it is by far, without question, the best organization I've been a part of outside of my own.
Oh, nice. I wanted
It
to
just
ask.
was sad that they ran out of money.
Yeah. With the team, was there like did you have full control in terms of team decisions, or
Yeah,
like was there any tie
yeah.
rule? Because that was always like the outside perspective is like, oh, did they force them to have a tie player or two in
No,
there?
no, 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 no. I will say this: it was the first management of any esports club that I had been a part of that didn't get in our way, especially my way.
Fair.
It was the first company I had been a part of that basically gave me the reins and said, "We trust you, but if you fuck this up, you're out of here." Basically, so I had a short leash. I knew that, but they were upfront about that at first, which I respect. Like, if you tell me what the rules of the game were, I'm cool with whatever happens. Right? But no, they were very upfront from the beginning. They said, "We'll do it your way." So that's the reason I brought Americans in. I partially brought Americans in because the Thai players we were trialing were very stubborn, didn't want to listen, and also had a hard time with 8 to 10 hour practice days, which, I have a standard. And if it takes me, listen, I would love to work 3 hours a day and just chill the rest of the day. Really, I would. But if we're not good enough, that's not happening. Right. And I think there's like a standard that they're not used to. So most of the Thai players quit and didn't want to play. And they kind of like rebelled against me. So when that happened, I'm like, well, I still have Dan and Governor trialing. Y'all on the team. Let's do this. So that's basically kind of what happened.
I would say a fairly common theme with Talon is I think if you look at the team on paper versus the results you managed to achieve, there always seemed to be a massive upturn. Like I don't think many people came, especially the first iteration you had where you mentioned like Governor and Ban. Like I don't think people expected you guys to make champs. What would you kind of put that down to? Is that purely you, or is there a lot of processes where you're like, okay, this is why we did better than maybe we should have done?
Yeah, but I'd also argue, look at Furia. I just said to you, they went 4-2,
True.
right? So, and if you look at it even further, what did 100 Thieves do without me? Basically, they qualified to Shanghai, right?
It's been a rough road,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the year directly after me, they had players making $50,000 a month. I'm making champs with minimum players. They're paying some of the most expensive salaries to go O2, just like I did. Right? Like there's a if you look at the common motif in all these teams and all these stories is basically I'm somehow involved with players that look what happened at Furia when I got fired. If you look at the next year, all 5 of my players were not even in tier 1. As a matter of fact, QCK played one half of a season and then he was no longer in tier 1. And it was only until this year that DGZ got back into tier 1. Right?
Yeah.
So I've been out kicking my coverage with anybody forever, even flip side, right? Everybody used to get mad that we would make legend status and took it from Nip. And, we'll be, Miles and Nico and Chris J, where it was like flip side fucking tactics, right?
Every year.
Why can't we beat these bums? Yeah.
The team would play no tournaments and then just turn up to the major and fuck everyone's pick'ems.
Exactly. Right? Just like Talon and just like all these guys that they don't have the players. But all of a sudden, somehow, tactically, we're better in the macro, right? We're better in the late game situations. I don't know. When you look at the scoreboard, we get the 13 first. That's kind of all that matters to me. I will attribute a lot of. I know he's kind of a meme right now because people are stupid, but Governor, especially now, given all the news too, banned. They were a big part of why Talon was successful. And I'd argue that Cruz doesn't get to the level he gets to as an IGL if he doesn't have those guys that first year.
Okay.
Because so much of what they were good at and what they were, small example, Governor as a duelist, I tried so hard to do this with DG Zin, but I couldn't, partially because of the language barrier, partially because he's a Crossfire player and he thinks of the game a little differently. He's a little stubborn in this way. But Gov will change your entire offense on attack. So Gov will go in and be like, hey, you called, if you want to do this A default again, Cruz, you can't because they're doing this, this, and this. I need you to change this recon to here because this is the only place it is not going to break. And the next time you call that a default, I just need Raise Rocket. Call it on Raise Rocket with all these changes and we're good. He'll do this in the middle of the game.
Okay.
Right? He was basically a high game IQ at the duelist spot. Ban is the exact same except from the Sentinel spot. He could completely change the entire game just from his mid-rounding and be like, hey, Cruz, I'm going to take this timing right now. Just wait. Don't do anything.
Okay.
Very
vocal.
Go now. I'm gonna hide. All right, I'm gonna open door. As soon as I open door, Cruz, make no noise. I'm gonna open door. It's like that level is what was happening, and then Cruz eventually he became that the entire round by himself. But to see sort of a duelist changing entry path, changing util locations. I'm listening to him about okay, so he is reading the pattern of what they're doing, who's playing where, what's doing what, and he knows if I make this call, he's gonna die if I don't make these changes. And then on the lurk spot, he knows how to play off the sort of ping pong action to force the defense to move and shift, right? And then eventually he got to just do it for Primi and do it for Thai and do it for Jit. He could just mastermind it himself. But I'm telling you, if it wasn't for those two guys that year, I don't think he becomes as complete as he became. And that I think was one of the biggest reasons I needed smart players is I was really tired of dealing with people that were very stubborn and just wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
Because at Furia, me and Mazin got into some really big fights towards the end of my tenure because a lot of times you'll game plan for the whole week and then all of a sudden the exact situation that you have a call for will come. And then all of a sudden he's just calling something else. And then when you go back and you're like, why did you do this? He's like, because I just felt like I should do this. Oh, that kills me. So then I picked a team of guys that were smart that if they're going to change it, they're going to change it for a tactical reason. Not just they woke up in the morning and this is just what they decided to do. And largely, I think we were a high game IQ team in a region that was all mechanics. So even if we didn't have the firepower, it doesn't matter. All we needed was a chip in a chair and get to 13 first. So if we faked you a couple times and then we had better post-man positions and we just squeezed the round away, I'll take that. And if we do that 13 times and we get the W, Unlucky.
But I then want to move on to like what happened in 2025. Obviously, I think at the beginning it was a little bit more of a trouble with like consistency. I think I looked into it and you had
Hmm.
12 games where it was like win loss win loss win loss. It was like a crazy
Yeah.
streak. I wanted to ask, when the team switched to like a full tie roster, did that make it tougher to coach? Because obviously, like I guess there was a language switch in terms of them playing, or were they
Yeah.
still okay?
Mm, technically, no, it was easier. And
Okay.
people are surprised by that response because
Hmm.
there's there's a few reasons why it was easier. I'll try to name just three small ones. But the first one is like it was easier because they didn't speak my language, so I didn't have to talk to them. I could talk to Cruz. So then that's
Okay.
when Cruz became an assistant coach because
Yeah.
all of the game planning and all of the higher level stuff was done with me, Cruz, and Jovi. And then Cruz will go in and he will command practice now. He's in charge of the installs now. It's no longer me observing and making sure everybody's doing the right thing. Nope, that was on Cruz. Um, all the documents I made, right? A lot of players in the past don't like reading, extensive documents. And guess what? I had a guy with a master's degree. He read the documents, absorbed the documents, he taught the document,
Hmm.
right? So that was one. I didn't have to actually coach more. I had to just I was the guy in charge of the guy in charge.
Okay.
So really, I micromanaged Cruz and delegated to Cruz. So my job became infinitely easier. That's why I gave Cruz so much credit for being an assistant coach last year. And I don't think people understood really the gravity of what I meant. But the truth is, um, he was IGL coach, mental coach for the players. Even though we had a performance coach, no one
Hmm.
spoke Thai. We were all like English speakers, right? So Cruz had the bulk of the weight. The second reason why it was easier is because we simplified all of the game plans. Like
Okay.
we no longer changed comps as much as we did. If you look at season one and season two, we didn't change comps until Japan,
Hmm.
where we started throwing curveballs right to like people, or I'm sorry, playoffs. Sorry, playoffs,
Yeah.
not Japan, but playoffs, right? Because all year we had to develop young players. You can't do that, but you can't do the strategy I like doing the most, which is countering your comp with players that don't understand the game as well.
Yeah.
So we just tried to play our own game and install our own stuff and use our firepower to our advantage. So I could easily just change things around to make our gunfights easier.
Hmm.
And that's what happened. And then the third thing, um, honestly, I had help. I had, Jovi, David, who is now the performance coach at Sentinels. Like we had guys that like took the workload off or used their specialty in areas that maybe I wasn't so proficient in, and that was their thing, right? So in season one, for instance, most of the antes were Jovi's,
Yeah.
right? And in
Okay.
season two, we swapped roles, right? So in season two, I had ante responsibility. In season one, he had all the responsibility for the antes, right? So we could just because he was also a head coach, we could just like facilitate different duties. Like in season two, for instance, Jovi was more hands on with players, right? He was way
Hmm.
more hands on, especially with Killer, right? So everything from like microing, you know, how to use darts, when to use darts, when to use drones, why using drones, like these micro mistakes, he would just handle that with Killer. It wouldn't even be Cruz. Me and Cruz
Okay.
are on something else, right? So like so many things changed between season one and season two as they developed and as they got better, the needs changed. So they required different stuff. So we just changed and acclimated with what was going on basically as it was happening.
Hmm. But I then want to go on to what I don't know if it is the case because your career does span a long time, but the match versus RRQ I can only imagine is one of the toughest defeats you've probably ever had because of everything that it meant
Yeah.
behind it. Uh,
Truthfully, no. RLCS season
really?
one, choking. Yeah, choking RLCS season one is still. I think about it all the time. I actually talked to Jovi about that like a couple months ago. Like because I like told him exactly what I'm telling you. They're like, bro, I still think about that almost all the time. Also, CFPL 2018, no, 2016 CFPL. Sorry, Crossfire Pro League. Second
Okay.
still pisses me off, but RQ sucked only because it was recent.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But no. I have some losses that still fucking sting, bro. That
Okay.
one is up there though. It's not like the top though, but it
Mm.
does fucking suck. It still sucks, actually.
I wanted to ask, what did you kind of put that down to? Like, was it purely a mental thing? Because from an outside perspective, I remember just sort of tuning in, seeing the first couple of maps. I was like, oh, they're good. We'll see them at champs. And then coming back later in the day and
Yeah.
being like, what the shit happened?
Yeah, there's a few things. And I've kind of told people, I've talked to them about it too, but I will never forgive them for losing that game ever. Actually, ever. I will
Mm.
never, for as long as I live, I will never forgive them for losing that series because it was as big a self defeat as I've ever seen in esports. I have never seen a bigger self own. Small example, we're up 2-0. We're in the back, right? Going for the third map.
Mm.
And I'm pissed. I'm livid. You know why? Because all I'm seeing on the first two maps is one-on-one after one-on-one after one-on-one in clutches. We're not working together. Everybody is playing their own game. I warned them. I said, guys, if you continue to do this, they're going to burn you. Please do me a favor. I literally looked at all of them and said, please do me a favor. In clutches, especially 2v2, 3v3, play together. I looked at Cruz. I was like, Cruz, make sure if you're dead, you're organizing this. If not, Killua, if you're dead, make sure you're organizing this, please. Right? We go to Lotus. We're on a map Corrode. We hadn't lost Corrode. We had not lost. I have double Sentinel. I go 7-5 on attack. Not to mention, if you watch the game, we threw pistol by 4 one-on-ones in middle on the first half, and we just get owned. And I'm like, what the? That's not even the pistol we drew up. What are we doing? So I chalked that up to like they just kind of just were like, bro, these guys suck. We're just gonna run it down and kill them, right? So they went off script, but then they got their shit together. 7-5 on attack on a double senti comp. Going into defense, that shit should be free 99. I literally should be taking a nap in the back, telling Jovi to wake me up when we win. And then my whole defensive game plan, non-existent. I don't even know what happened. As a matter of fact, I can even tell you, we prepped them on Xfero and Crazy Guy are going to do this stupid ass fucking beat insert where it's going to be fade dog, Viper's going to walk up, and then they're going to go re-clear middle. That was all of the game plan, was taking advantage of that and taking advantage of something else, which was basically pushing the corners on them.
Mm.
And if you look at champs, all of their losses, you know what teams are doing? Pushing the corners on them. As a matter of fact, Cushy died like 3 times at champs, ulting in the back to alert. They're not even paying attention to their backside. Literally, my whole game plan is pushing the corners. And then I have players that basically just like self-quit and just were so afraid of dying they didn't want to play Valorant. So they're basically just sitting on their defensive side of the map, making it really hard for Cruz. And then we ended up losing on a 3v1, by the way, to fucking Xfero to close that map. And then Icebox was a pure, they were just defeated. And then Sunset was basically Cruz going, fuck this, I'm not losing. And he tried his best. And then we lose the series. And this is what I'll never forgive them for. We lost the series on 12-11, 3v3, 1v2, 1v2, 1v2. We swung it to CT on Sunset on B. We have the bomb down, Tom.
Mm.
My first guy goes out, hard swings, 1v2 dead. The next guy, 1v2 dead. Prinmy is left alone, gets swung on by 3. And it's just like, that is what I will never forgive them for, because not only does that make me look like an asshole as if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing and I don't coach this, but we're up 2-0 and I'm begging them in this phase of the game to work together. We're on 12-11, 3v3 post plant with 2 Sage slows. That is as easy a layup as you can have at this level.
Yeah. And
they decide to fight 3 1vXs. Nah, man, fuck that. Get me out. I was so done. Actually. But yeah, so that's what happened. So that's why it's also not that big. Like, to me, it's not that big of a loss, because to me, it was basically like we asked for it. Like, we wanted to lose that game because we did everything we could to give them the series. And they obviously are good enough players that they took the series.
Yeah. So then we kind of know how the story of Talon ended, like the financial troubles, the
Tough.
team leaving the league. I wanted to just ask, was there a world where you went with the team to Full Sense, or was that conversation ever had?
Yeah, actually, there was a world where we went to other orgs, not Full Sense.
Okay.
Um, there's a yeah. I mean, it's probably not so well known, but when I found out this was happening, I had a contingency in place. I went to three of the biggest orgs not in Valorant. I got the co-sign that they will say that they will sign our team and keep everybody together, including Jovi. We went to Riot. We told them. I went to G. I won't say who, but I went to the G2 boys, including Baby Bay. Obviously, everybody knows that one. And
Yeah.
I asked them exactly what happened in their situation, and going into the guard or whatever. And I basically got the blueprint and the outline of how to basically get them to let us sign our own org. We basically did the same thing, except for Cruz going public, which he refused to do, which that's on him. And but yeah, so we had a backup we had three orgs in place. Two of them were from APAC, ready to sign everybody. For some reason, Riot was like, nah, all good. They waited to the 11th hour, and then they took all they took all the leverage away from the team by basically only giving a spot to Full Sense. So then Full Sense goes, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to lowball you to heck. It's not like we're not going to pay you like a top 5 team in Pacific, actually top 3 team technically in Pacific. We're not going to pay you like that. We're going to pay you minimums. And then it started this cascading effect of problems and issues and all of this stuff. And Riot just seemingly decided to piss away the career of Cruz, who they weeks before highlighted in a video where they promoted him as like a pillar of the Pacific community for the 5-year anniversary of Pacific, which I thought was just ironic as heck, actually. So yeah, there was a world where we're still together, but unlucky, man. So yeah, I did Riot's job for them. Unlucky, they still didn't want it just because it was me. I'm pretty sure.
I feel like you kind of already answered this with your high praise of Cruz anyway, but how do you feel about him going in as a head coach? It seems like you kind of think he still has it as a player, but do you think that he'll do well in this role?
So, okay. Okay, truth or politically correct response? What do you want?
I'd rather the truth, but I don't want you to upset anyone.
No. The truth is he's going to be a better coach than me at some point. Okay. That's not today.
All right.
The truth is he's the best IGL in Pacific, and he's not playing the game, which makes no sense to me. This would be the equivalent of Boaster coaching Fnatic.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say, because I know that some people might think that's a slight to Boaster. Nah, it's not. Like, I'm not trying to say that Cruz is better or on the level of both, but I will say, and I think Jake will defend me on this, Cruz is a comparable IGL. He's not as decorated, right? Yeah. He certainly may not be as good, but the level of IGL, Cruz is not far behind. Like, it's not like they're like not playing the same game. These guys are on, they're close. One of them has way more, accolades than the other for sure. But just on the job, I don't think Boaster would be that frustrated with the comp, right? Like, but yeah, so to me, I think it's just a absolute disgrace that the best IGL in Pacific isn't even going to be playing. That just doesn't make sense on a personal level.
Well, moving on to, I think, what a lot of people will have probably clicked on this video for, which is, of course, you joining Global Esports. How soon after the talent situation did they get in touch? Because it seemed like there was a pretty quick turnaround.
Dude, my off season was insane, man. So first off, I was going to go to China. So, actually, first off, it was EMEA, then China. Then I was pretty sure I'm going to China. Then I'm pretty sure I'm going to Talon, because I have a conversation with Cruz, and it was like a 2-hour walk one day. And after that conversation, I said I was going to come back. Because remember, I told you, get me out, right? I was so sick, I didn't even want to see anyone else. I didn't want to look at anyone from Talon after that 1v3, 1v3, 1v3. I wanted no part. I'm like, you know what? Never again. I'm not doing this. So then Cruz kind of convinced me to come back, and then I was locked in. Then I was like, all right, fuck it, man, this is our year. F this. And then the financial stuff happened. So I'm asking every team that is interested in me to give me some time to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that like many teams backed out and I took the risk of staying until November 1st. And then it was like I had to make a real choice because November 1st, they gave Talon another 2-week extension and no team, including GE, was going to let me pass that date.
Yeah.
So then I had to make a choice. And GE already had a coaching staff and players, by the way. They were already about to be locked in. And then I last minute called Dr. Rushi and was like, so, you know, this thing happened. And is there a chance I can come to GE? I might have a good roster, though. And then Minsong, the GM, basically like vetted the roster and if it was possible. And then, you know, that happened. But it was literally these guys are about to have a new team, new coach. And then all of a sudden I come in the middle and then cooked.
Fuck it all up.
Pretty much, yeah. Actually.
Even though you couldn't look at them, did you at any point try and steal any of the talent players for GE or like approach to see if it would be possible?
There's only 2 players. I will say that one of them actually was offered to us, which was a hilarious story, but that I can't get into.
Okay.
And the only other one I would have got was Cruz. Like if Cruz, look, Cruz is coaching now, right?
Yeah.
Certainly I could have used him here as my IPO. The difference and the reason that didn't happen is simply because Javi's good enough and talented enough that sure, he may not be the IGL Cruz is today, but he has other talents that not make up the difference, but that are worthy of, I think, giving a chance. And then asking Cruz to get away from the boys would have been a problem and all that stuff. But like me and Cruz sort of kind of talked about this. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a world where, by the way, me and Baby Bay ended up on the same team. Which, if you want the juice for that one, I could give it to you. In North America, by the way.
Oh, nice. I'm definitely interested. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll just say that if I told you, okay, you have to like cut this out though. Like keep this in, but you got to bleep this. I just want everyone to see your reaction. Okay.
Sure. A note to
so what's your reaction to that actually?
Yeah, that's a choice.
Yeah.
God. Wow.
That's insane work, bro.
I'm definitely editing that out. So I then want to talk about GE as an org in general, because I think at times GE has been referred to as a bit of a poison chalice with like incredibly high fan expectation and so far results nowhere near to match. Did you consider that at any point? Was that something like, oh, maybe I need to worry about that, or you didn't care?
No, I'm a masochist. That actually, I need that. Actually, everyone wonders why, like, you know, like a small example is like that Termy thing. Like everyone is like so surprised by like that whole thing, but like people like me, like I'm from New York City, so I don't care. Like for millions of people to look at this and like either laugh at me and call me a clown or cheer for me makes no difference to me, right? Like, so on a personal level, the expectations of winning here from the Indian fans, it's certainly not something I'm afraid of, and it's certainly not something I'm like worried about, because if I don't change the culture here, and if we don't win this year, I'm perfectly okay with people saying I suck. I know what this business is. I know what the job is. On a more direct personal level, I'm older now, right? When I came into esports, I was a young buck. That is not the case now. I need that in order to stay like at the top of my game. I need the fear and the pressure of people basically, calling me trash. Like I need that motivation to wake up every day and to like keep the standard the same, right? It's like the fear of your world coming and crashing down is what I need in order to keep the same level of energy that you
Mm,
need in order to do this because I'm not young anymore. So I don't like a small example is like, we're talking about this here. Like I wear a aura ring to sleep because I need to track my sleep. You know why? I'm like 8 hours of sleep this week. Like I average 5 hours of sleep a day. I got players like Javi who gets like 24 hours of sleep almost. I can't
Jesus.
do that shit no more. I can't like, I got Vlackcore that came in here. This dude doesn't need sleep. He's like here. He's first in the office, last to leave. Bro, I can't do that shit, bro. I'm too old. So I need like other ways to motivate myself. And one way to
Mm,
do it is like, you come to a place with high expectations and you have to like, you know, achieve it, or else everyone in the world is going to make fun of you and talk shit about you.
yeah.
Most people don't like to live in that world. I just, you know, that's been most of my life, whether it's sports when I was in high school all the way to, you know, my adult life in esports. That's kind of like what my mental can handle.
Mm,
So because I know that it's like I'm never going to be afraid to go to a place with high expectations because I think I enjoy the fact that like everywhere I go, there's like some new challenge.
yeah.
And this one in particular, it's the fan base is so rabid and angry that like, if I don't accomplish my mission, I'm probably going to get chewed out pretty nicely.
Fair. I wanted to say, like, obviously you're on a rival team before. Was there anything from the outside where you looked at GE and went, "That's the issue"? Because I don't think it was ever an issue of like who they signed, because they had some world class players within their rosters, but none of them really ever seemed to click.
Yeah, I thought their season two, I talked about this before. I thought their season two last year team was definitely going to make playoffs and has a, small chance to make a run in playoffs. I'm surprised that they didn't make playoffs. The first season, I did not think that team would do well. I was surprised by how close our series was with them in kickoff for sure. But I didn't actually think the first season's team was very good. I thought they
Okay.
made a huge mistake with Patrick Watson over Javi. I don't think
Mm.
that was a very smart move. But the second season, I thought that roster was good. By the way, bro, they were destroying us in scrims. Holy moly! Like on Corrode, for instance, I'd argue part of the reason why our Corrode was so good is because we kept playing them and they just kept fucking destroying us, bro. And we just started to learn more about what we can do, what we can't do, like all that stuff. So like scrimming that team was like actually a net positive.
Mm.
So yeah, I was surprised that they failed
Yeah.
as
Was
far
there
as
was
they
there
failed.
anything when you like turned up on day one that you went, okay, I need to change that immediately? Like there's something that like, because I think from the coaches that have been before, you're stylistically quite I would say a different type of coach. But was there just
Yeah.
something you went, okay, yeah, we're not doing it like that anymore?
In terms of gameplay, yeah, there's stuff that Sava or Crystal does, thinks, acts, or has
Mm.
that I have certainly changed. Like Crystal has become him and Javi are my two biggest projects here at GE because
Yeah.
I'm doing what I think is required to have Crystal perform the way that I think I need him to. So yeah, for sure, some of the coaching that Crystal had before and the coaching he's getting now is certainly at odds.
Mm.
I'm gonna leave the details out, but yeah, with Crystal,
Yeah.
yes. Well, mm, and other things on the outside of Valorant side, yeah, I've had my influence here.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
I then wanted to talk about, because you mentioned the sort of signing where they had this whole idea of a team and whatever already done. Did you then get the sort of new transfers and new players that you wanted, or was it very much like the management had their own idea and picked some of the team up for you?
no, the managers certainly had their own idea, but Rushi Minsong gave me. Well, they knew that if they got me, I required full autonomy, which has also been a problem of mine on teams because Milan, actually, I was talking about Milan when he was over here at Soup, and I won't get too into the details of what he said, but he pretty much was like, "Man, I was surprised we went to GE and not other places, right?" And
Mm.
one of the things I had to like kind of tell him was like, "Yeah, but no one will give me autonomy because there's a lot of CEOs and there's a lot of GMs that want,
Yeah.
like, in my opinion, way too much say. And if you sign with me, like, don't ask me to cook, Tom, if you're not going to let me shop for the groceries, right? Like, if you're
I
gonna
got you.
shop and
Yeah.
you cook, right? Like, what are we doing here? So again, it comes with I don't mind being the first to get fired if things don't go correct. I think that's the
Mm.
job, right? But if you're gonna at least ask me to do the job, then let me do it my way,
Yeah.
and then judge the result after. Um, so no, they knew right away what I wanted, and actually, I'm very fortunate because Autumn had an EMEA team and he decided to come here. And then Javi had other offers, decided to come here. And then Patman, after PRX, this was the place he wanted to be. So it was, I was very fortunate in the fact that like the players I targeted, I got, except for one, he went to PRX, which is a conversation for a different day.
Fair.
But um, yeah, I got kind of fortunate with the roster and how it came together.
Well, that's where I want to take this. Obviously, going into the next year, you've kept Crystal, Udatan, and Darion as a sixth. What was it about
Yeah.
those three that you were like, okay, I want to keep them in the roster for next year?
Well, Udo was a surprise. I didn't think I was going to keep Udo.
Okay.
It's funny because Ban was the one that told me about Udo being good, and I should give him a look. And I was still hesitant because we had scrimmed against them, we played them. I kind of know, I think I know what Udo is. So I was kind of like, yeah. So I certainly won't lie. I came in there with the expectation that he might not make the trial.
Okay.
Derek is a good guy to have in the locker room. Derek is it's his career is unfortunate because Derek fully expected to play this year
Mm.
until I put the roster together that I have, and then you're like shit,
Yeah.
But Derek's a good player, smart player. My expectation is he transitions to IB.
Okay.
That's my expectation for him. Is that the next time you see him, he should be in IGO. And Crystal Sava's funny because he's my guy. Like, actually is my guy. But I bully and pick on him so much, bro. Oh my god! And it's because I have very high expectations of him, and I don't think that the last year, especially last year, I do not think that player is good enough to do the things that I know Crystal wants to do.
Yeah.
And my job is to help him be the player that he can be in order to accomplish the things that he wants to accomplish. So,
Okay.
boy, am I on his ass.
My next question is more just someone I'm excited to see in an English-speaking team, which is going to be Autumn. It's something I've wanted to see for quite a while. Do you think the shift to not being on a Chinese roster is going to up his level even more? Because his peaks in FPX were insane.
I know, and I mean, I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but he's my best player. I didn't know he was this good, straight up.
Mm.
Like, funny lore though. So after kickoff last year, we were going to replace Governor with a couple people.
Yeah.
The number one person on that list was Autumn, and he decided
Shit.
to stay at FPX. Yes.
Mm.
So we have been trying to work together for a little bit, and I wanted it. Oh man, it would have been so nice to have him. Obviously, it worked out because the ties. It was the right time to go with ties, and Cruz was correct. Cruz asked for it. He asked me to trust him. I trusted him, and he was right. But Autumn and Pacific last year would have cooked too.
Yeah.
And now that I have him here, I'm like, fuck. So, and it's not just that he's highly skilled too. So, for instance, so we do one-on-ones here, and I'll
Mm.
just say that he has won the most one-on-ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, he's that boy. But he's also very smart. And
Mm.
similar to the conversation I had with you about Ban and Governor for Cruz, I think having Patman and having Autumn for Javi is going to be the same thing for Javi.
Good
So,
to
because
hear.
Autumn is really sharp, and he used the IGL, right? So, Sava
Yeah.
used the IGL also, so he's like helping mid round and stuff with Pat. Like, so it's gonna be real nice.
Hmm. Well, that
But
was someone. Go on.
sorry, sorry. Forgive me. This is also why he's the captain because of what you just mentioned. Because despite Patman winning a major, true, amazing accomplishment, and the kid deserves all the credit for that. But Autumn has more experience going to majors,
Hmm.
right? Autumn has been the guy on a tier one team for a very long time. That was the biggest reason I gave him the captain role because he is the leader of the team, and everybody, moves to the sound of his drum.
Okay. So you kind of
And
have
he's also being
your.
there as a one-on-ones.
So you have your IGL separate to your leader
Yeah,
or
for
your
sure.
captain. So what is it more like
Right.
an emotional leader rather than like a tactical leader?
Mm, it's more that the real professional in the room is on, and
Okay.
the guy that everybody kind of like, he has the strongest voice. It's not that Javi doesn't or can't. It's that that's not Javi's place here. Like,
Okay.
if anything, most of the time I like having good cop, bad cops because obviously everyone knows I'm bad cop. But I think
No.
internally now, I think if anything, Autumn is bad cop,
Okay.
right? So, um, but it's also interesting because every player here respects Autumn too.
Hmm.
So it's almost like, yeah, I gave him the title, but naturally, that's just sort of what it is. They all know he's legit. So if he says something, they all fucking listen. And that's sort of like, so even though I had the idea to give him the captain ban, it actually already happened naturally,
Yeah.
regardless, right?
He
So
took it before it was
yeah,
given to him. In other words.
right, right, and it's not really a slight. So like, obviously on Talon it was Cruz, right? Because Cruz was both,
Hmm.
but like, I think I would argue that um and IGL's job is also really not to be the emotional leader. Like, the IGL's job is to be the in-game leader tactically
Yeah.
for the room. But some people call it a Zelsis role, right? The vibes guy and stuff. If anything, that is ultimately what Autumn's captain role is. Most people just haven't labeled it as a captain role. But for me, it's also that all of the players look at him as the guy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that guy is the voice. If that guy isn't your IGL, I don't think that's a problem either,
Yeah. Well, I
right?
kind of then
And
want
I
to.
think for Javi's first year,
Yeah.
I think it's too much pressure to make him the totem of the team, right?
Hmm.
Because he's also learning how to play in tier one for the first time. He's learning a new system. You know, he's learning a new role. I have him on smokes, so I think it's probably a little bit too much. Then also be like the authoritarian on the team.
That's fair. Like, how did also just you've sort of mentioned it a little bit already, but he's someone heavy who I don't know anywhere near as much about. So, what was the sort of characteristic that you saw in him when looking for an in-game leader that you went, okay, even if he's maybe not like where Cruz is now, like he's someone I can get there.
Truthfully, I didn't know much about him. I just knew that whenever we played against him in scrims on Talon, he was a fucking problem. And whenever I watched him play in tier two, he was always beating people's behinds. So I didn't know anything really about his mental acuity. I only took the word of some people I trusted that he's sharp.
Okay.
So then I'm like, man, this guy can shoot and he's sharp. Okay. And then I got him in the room, and then he's like, I'll just say, if Autumn is number one in most wins in 1v1s, Javi is comfortably number 2. And
Okay.
that is what's crazy is, um, yeah, let's just say that, I mean, he has the chance to be, well, in my opinion, if you look at last year, Valorant announced that in Pacific, the IGL of the year is Crazy Guy,
Yeah.
right? So if we won in Japan, it doesn't go to Crazy Guy, right? Who does it go to?
I guess your
Cruz,
place.
right?
Yeah, Cruz.
Right. But what if I told you that mechanically, both of those players are nowhere near Javi?
Hmm.
And now you start thinking, wait a minute, if he understands the X's and O's, it's my job to teach him. And mechanically, he's like almost on Autumn's level.
Yeah.
Now you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It's why so many players and why EMEA brought Flya over. Because in North America, mechanically, the two best IGLs, in my opinion, as of 2 years ago, were Valorant and Flya. You very rarely get IGLs that can shoot better than most players on their team. That's just not normal. Javi is not normal in that sense. And I'm very excited because of that, because he's still relatively young, high mechanical ceiling, high personal IQ. Now it's on us to challenge him to have really high Valorant game IQ.
Yeah. So I guess the most obvious slam dunk signing of the century was when Patman came on the market. Was there a part of you
I
that
know.
was there a part of you that when you
Initiator of the
saw
year, rookie of the year, GE, let's go. That's insane work, bro. I couldn't believe it when it was happening. I was like, wait, what? But
yeah, were you surprised when he was let go by PaperX?
Oh man, I love Alex, and we actually had lunch the other day. So we had lunch the other day, and we talked about this a little bit. So I'm going to keep a lot of this personal, but let's just say that yes, I was very surprised. And I was also very excited that I can get him.
Yeah.
Let's just say that, right? So yes, the weird thing is I have initiator of the year, right, in Patman, and rookie of the year on Patman. Then also have Sava, who's a career initiator. So the fortunate thing for me is that the one good thing about coming from PRX is that you have to like play a lot of agents now. Before they were very stubborn with agents. Now they're not. So I can move Patman around. And that is what's really good value for Patman with me, because I really love flexible players. So it was nice that I got a player of that skill set that also wasn't locked into only playing one thing, one agent.
Yeah.
So he's not a one trick, and that really helped too.
So the next part I want to just touch briefly on is your coaching staff arrangement, because it's looking stacked just in terms of how many people you actually have, like 4 different coaching staff, 2 additional staff.
I'm so glad I get to talk about this now, because everyone says this to me, but yeah.
What is the dynamic was my question. Like, how does that sort of all piece together?
GE doesn't have an academy team. I've had an academy team in almost every place I've been to in VCT, minus on. Because, Furia didn't have an academy team, but you know what they did have? Remember those players I told you about that I was coaching in Tier 2? Precision, Boy, all those guys? They were my academy team. They would run scout team for me when I'm at Furia. So whenever I had a problem or I had a big match coming up and I'm like, yo, this team likes to do this, and this, they would get in server with me to help my team get those looks beforehand. Right? At Talon, had an academy team, developed them also. I don't have an academy team here at GE. And I no longer have, I'm not from APAC, so I don't have the network of friends and people I've coached that can just from Tier 2, get in a server for an hour and work on this map or this thing for me. You know what I'm saying? So one of the benefits I had was some of these players took less to come here. Well, guess what? We can also do the same to bring in more people like Vladcore,
Yeah.
like Balax, like Platoon, who's earlier was there behind me, and we are now the scout team.
Okay.
So it became a thing where like we're serving double roles, right? Like we're the scout team, but also we have our roles. Like Vlad is the assistant coach because like Jovi, he is head coach material. He was head coaching and was one game away from making GC champs. Right.
Yep.
Um, so he obviously knows what he's doing. Platoon is a very good data analyst that mirrors some of the stuff I told you earlier about with like Stats Helix and
Hmm.
what we did with that company with the API and the GoTV stuff for CS:GO. That's his skill set. Data analyst and just specifically somebody that has the requisite skill set to extrapolate data works very well with me given my career. So
Hmm.
obviously me and him fit like a glove because I like letting math dictate my choices rather than human emotion and instinct.
Yeah.
And then Balox is an analyst, and he was on XLG. You saw how well XLG did last year. It was a
Hmm.
steal for us to be able to get him and pull him away from XLG. The fortunate part is people like Balox, Wendler, who went to PRX. I have a relationship with them because, you know, even though I'm like coaching Talon and all that stuff, I'm still cool with all these other guys, right? I was friends with Elevated, who was previously here before,
Yeah.
well, Anders, who you know very well. Like, so I think my personal relationship with them allows me to be able to, like, if all things even, they'll probably want to come to me before going other places. I know Wendler ended up going to PRX, but who's going to turn down PRX?
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, right? So because we have friendships, I get to kind of like, ugh, if the economics are the same, come on, bro, we're your boys, and that's basically kind of what happens.
On paper, I think the roster looks solid. I think people are excited about that. I kind of wanted to ask, with your sort of initial prep and what you've done so far, where do you sort of set your expectations for this team?
Okay, so easy. We're qualifying for the major. Talon went top four. Yeah, like last year, Talon went top four. Then we make it all the way to whatever. And I think this roster is every bit as good
Okay.
uh, as that one, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure even if you would ask Cruz or Premi, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, oof, this guy's pretty good.
Mm.
Um, so my expectation is just as high. I don't think that we should aim the bar any lower. So I'm willing to accept the criticism if we don't. And I think it's very unfortunate that Riot does things a certain way. Like, have you ever heard of two bottom seeds playing each other? Because
No.
that's basically what happened this year. Because SLT and us, like GE last year, was basically the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
So how does it end up that SLT was coming in from Ascension and GE played each other? And then we play PRX.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, right? The road should have been like 12-5. Top four champs have bye. 12-5, 11-6, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which meant my road should have been, which, by the way, you would have thought this was cool. I was really hoping my road was Talon, RQ, T1. That's what I thought the road
That
was
would
going to
be a
be based
banger.
on the map. Oh, that would have been so awesome. So now we have to play SLT, who everybody thinks is going to beat us, which is just cool, I guess. And then PRX. So you get to see the immediate run back with Patman and his former team.
Yeah.
I think our road is pretty difficult because we have to run into the best team in the Pacific.
Yeah.
But I think the format of lose three is really interesting, and I think that we're going to be hard to beat three times
Okay.
in one tournament. So I think we should be very difficult.
It's looking at the other teams in Pacific. Is there anyone that you look at as maybe a surprise package, or on the other side of things, a team you think will fall off from last year?
Well, SLT, everyone says is going to beat us, so certainly that's a surprise to me.
Okay.
So I would say they are definitely the surprise team. Or some people think Nongshim is like going to be that good this year. I'm probably the wrong person to talk to about Nongshim because I'm undefeated against them.
Okay.
But everyone says they're going to be better than us too. So I'm lucky, I guess. I don't know. As for what team I think is going to fall off, I'll just say T1 has the most expectation ever because dropping one of the best young talents from Munchkin is a
Yeah.
win now move. So if they don't win now, then what did we do that for? So that certainly has to be the team everybody looks at like that.
Okay. Is there any team you'd particularly like to beat? Obviously, I'm going to throw DRX and Full Sense into the mix, because for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, certainly. I will say though, the number one team I want to beat is PRX.
Okay.
Just full stop. I haven't beat them. That's the one team I can't. That's the one nut I can't crack.
Fair.
So has to be PRX.
So are you kind of
also by the way, because he might watch this. Fuck you, Ilya. The guy always beats my ass, bro. There's nothing I can do.
To be fair, I feel like you're not the only person who has that issue. I think that's
fair.
That's a worldwide issue.
But I'm definitely taking it personally because he has his career games against us or me.
Oh god. Well, you kind of did answer this one already. Obviously, your first matchup is against Varel, previously SLT Seongnam. Are you happy with that matchup? Do you think that's one that will work for your squad?
Well, I think I have a good record versus Korean teams. So, and even if we've lost, it's always been really competitive. I think the one team that is a really big, it was the 2024 Gen G team, which is arguably one of the best teams of all time. That team was lightning. So, yeah. But outside of that team, I will say that I am not as concerned as I guess everyone else is about Varel. Because though I think SLT is very good and I follow their ascension runs and all that stuff, I also know enough to know that T1 Academy was destroying them all last year. So certainly this team can't be unbeatable. In the group stage in Ascension, there were also some chinks in the armor. So I think we match up pretty well, and I'm surprised that people think we're not the favorite, but I think that's also a good thing that people are underrating us. So, but no, me personally, I'm fine. I think it's going to be a nice, fun one. Well, by the way, you should know something about SLT. Do you know what the organization is? Do you know anything about them? And it's okay if you don't, because it's Korean. But that is a government subsidized program.
Oh, okay.
SLT is really a governmental program to support youth initiatives and esports and stuff and technology. That they sponsored a Valorant team and kids to play, and they qualified for Ascension.
They did a bit,
and then they won it and made franchises. That to me is a crazy story.
Yeah,
that this is actually the holy grail of esports is government subsidized money. And this was a group of kids that were part of a city's initiative to support tech initiatives. And they made it this far. And that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why they couldn't be in the league is because you're aware of all the Saudi stuff. And, they're trying to make sure that governments don't.
Yeah.
But I thought certainly SLT should get a shout out because that is kind of crazy that it's actually a government assisted program that made it that far.
Okay. Well, my penultimate question is with GE, we've seen a lot of people come and go as head coaches, players, whatever. I want to kind of just ask you, what do you think you're gonna do differently from the rest that will bring GE success?
I don't know. That's a strange one because look, I think the obvious thing is what's different? I've won in every game I've been a part of. And in Valorant, I've won. I've never really had a losing record in seasons. And even with players on minimums going against teams 5 times our salary, T1, I have a very good record.
Hmm.
So I think that's the difference is that in most cases, those guys are trying to make a career for themselves and trying to establish a winning culture. That is my standard already.
Fair.
So
Yeah. Well, final question, and one I always ask. You We've already sort of mentioned the fans are very passionate within GE. So I kind of just wanted to ask, do you have a message for them to sort of go like, this is why you should be excited for the year and maybe a little bit less worried as some people have been?
I already said this in a content piece, but Chuck Defate. I'll just say that this is the best chance we're going to have to both qualify for a major and win one. And I also know, in my personal opinion, this is the best chance I have of doing that since my days at 100 Thieves. Since I had Nitro and Hiko, this is the best opportunity I have of doing that also. And my expectation is I fully expect to be able to accomplish it this year.
I'll say for me, I'm very excited to see it. Thank you very much. Like, this has been an hour and 20 minutes, so I really appreciate you taking all the
No
time out of
problem.
your day to
Anytime,
do this,
brother.
man.
Have a good one.